had this feeling at home that there was something about the outdoors I wanted to remind myself about. Something simple and elemental. I'm back down to one of my favourite waterways at Gippsland to head out and do a little bit of camping and fishing, keeping life simple. Right, I think my boat's put on weight. Little tiny bit of food to keep me going, but really I've got to get out there and paddle and find and catch some fish if I'm going to be comfortable. And I've got very basic shelter as well. And no stove, so I'm going to have to get a fire going if I want to heat up some water for a brew and have a feed. So a trip focusing on the simple things. Enjoying being somewhere, finding yourself a feed, keeping warm, finding yourself a camp. So I'm already starting to get into that hunting mode, I suppose you'd call it. Looking for any little signs of fish on the surface. It's nice clean bottom, so not much structure in places for fish to hide, but you never know. So there might be a little salmon about, so I'll toss in a lure. Now, fishing and sea kayaking go together. The origins of the sea kayak come from three great groups of Arctic and subarctic peoples. The Inuit from Alaska and Canada and Greenland, and the Yupik from Siberia and Alaska, and the Aleuts from the Aleutian Islands. They all had slightly different kayak technologies, but that's the origins of the sea kayak. So I like to fish when I kayak, so it puts me in touch with some of that heritage of the craft. Just some weed. Well, I just paddled over a section with plenty of weed on the edge of the deep water channel. So that looks promising to me. So I'm going to pull the lure in and get the rod sorted, get rigged up, and maybe head up there and see if I can find any fish in those weed beds. But I want to get going pretty quick. See if I can find something and start to get a bit of a feel for if there's any fish around. It's the start of winter and it's getting cold. All right, so I'm out in the channel over the weed beds, and given the tidal flow, I'm going to have to anchor up, and anchoring up in a traditional kayak is somewhat of a tricky proposition, but the tide's not running too hard, so I should be able to get the anchor down and get some bait in the water here for a while. And I usually find it takes 10 or 15 minutes for that scent to get in the water, and if there's any fish around, they'll come and find it. So the sea kayak is such a wonderful piece of technology. It's so fit for purpose for its environment and its task. Just moving quickly and quietly across the water, stealthily if you want to. Ah, that is not what we want. That is a toadfish. Poisonous. Very poisonous. So it's 2 o'clock and very little action. I can see a whole bunch of fish just popping up on the surface and that over here in the real shallows, but I've got to get to land and get some warmer clothes on. At least some paddling will warm me up a bit. Barry Lopez writes about hunting. Hunting, in my experience, and by hunting I simply mean being out on the land, is a state of mind. All of one's faculties are brought to bear in an effort to become fully incorporated into the landscape. It's more than listening for animals, or watching for hoof prints, or a shift in the weather. It's more than an analysis of what one senses. To hunt means to have the land around you like clothing, to engage in a wordless dialogue with it.
Let's go for
One
a walk.
so absorbing that you cease to talk with your human companions. It means to release yourself from rational images of what something means, and to be concerned only that it is.
Look at this area. Big, massive sand dunes. Big sandy wilderness down here. There's the ocean, Bass Strait on the other side, and the east coast of the Prom. Just a fantastic wild place. This great sand spit, tiny narrow neck between the estuary and the ocean. Oh, that sun's nice. More of that, please. Yo peyote. Pulled him in, nice big fat mullet.
Well, that's priority one. We've got something to eat. Now we've got to go and find somewhere to get some shelter, get a camp up and get a fire going, because it's mighty cold.
So I'm just trying to hunt out a bit of a campsite. There's a bit of higher ground on this side, which means that the channel, the deeper channel, is getting a bit close to the edge. I can get to there, I can just see a little sandy shelf with a couple of trees, which is good for firewood, bit of driftwood. And there's some low bushes, which might provide might get a bit of sand around those and get a bit of a windbreak.
It's 4 o'clock, so I've probably got an hour to 90 minutes of daylight, absolute tops. The wind's dropped, which is nice. I'm going to check the tides, but I think I'll be fine right at the top of the beach. I don't think the tide will come in this high. It would at some times during the month, but at the moment I don't think it's a really big tide. So I think I'll be high and dry here. I can get a nice little fire going. Gee, the light is just sublime at the moment. But never ever forget to take in the view and just listen to the sounds of the estuary. Well, I got the fillets off the mullet, and I think I'll cook the little flatty hole. He's not big enough to take fillets off, but I used the frame and the head from the mullet to make a soup, so soup's up, first course. Let's get that boiling and maybe get a bit of butter and a few spices in it. That'll give it a bit of life.
Well, here's the taste test. I've been reading a bit of Barry Lopez again lately, one of my favourite authors, and in particular his book Arctic Dreams. And Lopez spent 4 years in the Arctic and subarctic with those peoples, trying to understand how they lived in such challenging terrain. It's easy to underestimate the power of a long-term association with the land, not just with a specific spot, but with a span of it, in memory and imagination. How it fills, for example, one's dreams. For some people, what they are is not finished at the skin, but continues with the reach of the senses out into the land. If the land is summarily disfigured or reorganised, it causes them psychological pain. Again, such people are attached to the land as if by luminous fibres. And they live in a kind of time that is not of the moment, but in concert with memory, extensive, measured by a lifetime. I kept some kindling and firewood under the tarp last night because I thought there'd be a fairly heavy dew, so with a bit of luck this should get going pretty quick. The tide's coming in and I want to get that tide. So I need to get some warm brew on board, a little bit of breakfast and get moving. You know, things out here become pretty elemental. You know, safe passage over the water, find shelter, make a fire, cook some warm food. I think that's the attraction of this kind of real lightweight camping, where you've got to make a lot out of a little. It's so basic, so elemental. You're taking so much time observing your environment and just dealing with the essentials of life. Shelter, fire, food. It puts you in touch with the world in a different kind of way. The 4 elements: wind, earth, water, fire. This trip's reminded me of those elements. Simple outdoor travel, it's just a whole series of routines and improvisations. Alright, we've got some warm coffee, some toasted buttered bread in the belly.
let's go do some paddling.